Let's talk about the new Green Goddess collection from Bella Beaute Bar. This collection is launching April 7th, and it is such a beautiful color story and also such beautiful artwork. It is artist commissioned artwork, and it is just so beautiful, and I really feel like it embodies the theme in here. And the inside color story is absolutely so beautiful. There's peaches, greens, and some neutrals. Especially if you're a green lover, this palette is for you. It is predominantly a green palette. There are 6 shimmers, and they have a variety of different finishes as well as opacities, which I will talk more in depth about in the detailed swatches part of the video. And I was sent the palette and the highlighter in PR, so thank you so much to Bella Beaute Bar for sending it over to me early so I could get a video up for you trying out this palette. And I do have an affiliate code, which I will put up on the screen in case you're interested in anything from this collection. And thank you so much if you use my code. Let's talk about the highlighter. There are also going to be 4 single eyeshadows. There's also 4 single eyeshadows, a lip gloss, and a liquid eyeshadow in this collection, but I don't have those with me to show you. Minty green highlighter. It has a really beautiful, smooth but sparkly finish. I'm wearing it on the inner corner swoop up there. It's one of those formulas that just really melt into the skin, especially if you use your finger to apply it. I would compare this finish to be very similar to the Skin of a Killer shade, which was first in the Event palette, and then they made it into a highlighter as well. So I will be mostly using it as eyeshadow. So let's get into the detailed swatches of all the shimmer shadows and then 2 looks, and then I'll give you some of my thoughts at the end of the video. First 2 shades are Balance and Earth Mother. They definitely have a little bit of a textural difference to them. Earth Mother being a little bit more slippy. And Balance is very sheer. There's no base. And this one definitely feels a little bit creamy. So Balance has pink and bright green flecks throughout it, and it shifts a little bit to like a pinky orange. It does look like it has an ever so slight base, just a little bit of that orange. And it doesn't feel creamy. Then Earth Mother is a slightly larger particle size, just a little bit, but it does smooth out. And this one is a pinky silver. It's extremely metallic. It has a little bit of a pink base, and it shifts blue, green, and purple. It is super shifty. It is such an interesting shade. This one is going to vary just tiny bit because it does have full, I feel like it has almost a little bit of a taupey purple base to it as well. I feel like it really depends on the lighting. Forgot to show Balance close up, so here it is. You can really see the green and the pink mixed together. Renewal and Lush. Renewal also has a slightly larger particle size, a little bit slicker, and it also feels a little bit slicker to the touch. Lush is very smooth in comparison, slightly less shiny as well, and it does feel very creamy in the pan, extremely squishy. It also feels a little bit sticky. And because of that, because it's kind of pasty, it really just spreads out. So you can get them a little bit more sheer, or you can add just a little bit more. But yeah, it feels sticky in the pan, so definitely not something I'm going to be able to use anywhere near my crease. So Renewal has a sheer mustard base. It's very interesting, and it looks aqua straight on, shifting to blue to purple, and I feel like the aqua can lead a little bit more green or blue depending on the lighting, but it is a really beautiful shade, definitely one and kind of shade. Lush has a slightly sheer green base that looks very pink straight on. It shifts to an orangey gold and then to green. And I see a little bit of like a, maybe almost like a yellow in between. And you can see it's a little bit less shiny, but they do both look very smooth. The last 3 shades, Enchant, Fertility, and Tefiti. Slightly different particle size between all of these. I would say Tefiti is the smoothest, then Fertility, and then Enchant, but they will all smooth out. Enchant has a slightly larger particle size, and it has a pinkish brown base, the Champagne Sparkle straight on. And then Fertility has got to be one of my favorite shades in here, if not the favorite shade. The shade has a turquoise base with a flash of gold orange straight on and some hints of pink, and it shifts green to blue. It is so shifty. It's kind of like a lime green. It is very obvious. And then Tefiti is a dark forest green. It's very smooth and very opaque. It's more sparkly than metallic. It has pink and bright green sparkles throughout it. and no really visible shift. And here's the close-up. Here's the green goddess highlighter. It is sheared out on this half and built up on this half. And this is a really, really bright green with a little bit of turquoise in there, shifting to blue to purple. Picking up, putting down Tranquil, and this shade is very, very thin. I did notice that when I swatched it, definitely a very, very pastel kind of shade. I mean, so I'm kind of having to pack it on a little bit. And on the outer corner, I'm gonna take Growth, and I'm just gonna put that out here first, and then I'm gonna use Femininity and Goddess as well. But first, I just wanna get this down, and then I'm taking Femininity. It is super, super pigmented, and I'm gonna wipe off my brush because I still have a lot left on it, and I just don't wanna end up blowing it out too far. So I'm just kind of blending that out into that other shade. Just adding a little bit more depth out here, basically. And then taking Goddess, oh my god, that is so pigmented, and putting it on the outermost corner. And I really wanna make sure I'm careful with this since it's so pigmented. I really just wanna keep it on the lid first. And I'm just gonna slowly feather that out. And I'm gonna take a little bit of Femininity. I feel like that's really fun to say. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of Growth, and I'm just gonna all blend it together. I'm gonna go in with a little bit more Growth. I just want it to be out here deepened up. So I'm gonna use this applicator. I got this from Amazon. I did a whole video talking about which brushes, which applicators for which texture of shimmer is the best. And I did a demo, and I've been really enjoying using this. So I picked up Earth Mother. And I'm just gonna put that right in here where I laid down that minty shade. And I'm just kind of stamping it on essentially. And I'm just gonna bring it up as like a highlight. And that applies so nicely. And then I think here, but I'm gonna use Balance. And the shade is very topper-like for sure. This will be a great one and done type of shade. So I think I'm actually gonna layer a little bit of Enchant over it because this one has a little bit more opacity. So it's gonna be just like super dimensional kind of look. And I'm just kind of merging it all together, and that blended so nicely together. Here's the first finished look. The second look, again, primed with the Ulta eyeshadow primer. I'm first gonna take Rebirth. And I'm just gonna lay down basically an eyeshadow wing shape. And I'm just gonna work on building this one up because I'm gonna be blending in a darker shade on top of this. So I want this to be just kind of the baseline for it to blend into. I love this kind of green. It's pretty punchy. And then I'm going to use the collab brush with me and Clionadh, and I'm going into Demeter. And I'm just going to tap that along my lash line and then out into a wing shape to layer over. To just add a little bit more dimension to the wing. And I'm just going to keep layering until I get it where I want it to be. And then I'm going to go back in with this brush. This is a Glossgods M04. I'm just going to blend this. I'm going to go in with a little bit of Demeter again with this brush. And again, just blend it in. And then I'm picking up Wisdom, and I'm just going to pop that in here, kind of on the outer corner, kind of on the outer crease, and just blend it in towards my eye. But the most of the pigment was placed here. And I just want a little bit of a shadow there. So I don't want it to be like fully opaque. Picked up a renewal, and I'm gonna put that basically in the center of my lid. A little bit towards the outer corner. This has such a pretty, this is super glowy and definitely very sheer if you want it to be. But I feel like you could really bring out the base if you put it over a grungy green. So then I'm going to take Fertility again on this applicator, and I'm just going to put that on the inner corner. And again, highlight in here. And those two just look so nice together. And then I'm kind of merging them together here. Here's the second finished look. If you love colorful highlighters and you do like quite a bit of a sparkle on the cheek, it's not going to be like glitter particles by any means, especially if you use your finger to apply it and really just kind of smooth it into the skin, but it is pretty sparkly. So this is not a subtle highlighter. I don't wear colorful highlighters much. I will wear them sometimes for filming, so I will be using it as eyeshadow, and I think it has a stunning finish. Again, really, really sparkly, shiny, very, very sheer, and it looks so, so beautiful. So moving on to the eyeshadow palette, I do have quite a bit of experience with Bella Beaute Bar. I probably have about 90% of their eyeshadow palettes, so I'm very, very familiar with all their different shimmer formulas as well as their mattes. So while I have used this palette 3 times, I have not experienced anything out of the ordinary, especially with the mattes. I think they perform really nicely. If you really enjoy their mattes, you're going to definitely enjoy these, and I really, really like this color story. Even though this is predominantly a green color story, I would say probably like half of this palette is green. I love the addition of these 2 columns because I think they add a bit more variety, and you can do some neutral looks with this palette as well, especially if you wanted to use kind of like just go down these columns. You could do that. You could do that on these as well. So color story is chef's kiss, and I definitely see myself really wanting to reach for this because of the color story, because I feel like it is a little bit different. I can't think of a eyeshadow palette off the top of my head that reminds me of this one. I didn't film the look that I'm wearing, but I'm using Growth, a little bit of Femininity, and Demeter, and then I have Fertility kind of tapped through the center of my lid up into my crease, and then I have the highlighter on the inner swoop. I noticed Growth, it took quite a bit of building up to really get it to just even show up a little bit, but I do like having this shade in here because I can use it to blend out this shade. So moving on to the shimmers, I think all of them are very much on par with all the Bella Beaute Bar shimmer shadows that they have in their palettes. They have a little bit of slickness to them, but majority of them don't have squish to them, with the exception of Lush. I feel like Lush is a little bit different. I don't remember ever feeling a really creamy, sticky shadow from Bella Beaute Bar. It really reminds me of some of the Oden's eye shimmers where they really just feel super, super oily, slick. They really push down in the pan very easily, and also when you kind of press in them, you can just feel there's a little bit of tackiness. So I'm not really too happy that that's in the palette. Thankfully, it's only 1 shade, and I can just press a tissue into it and really try to lift any of the binder out. But I have hooded oily lids that I will probably never be able to use this anywhere near my crease because it is definitely going to crease. There is no eyeshadow primer, no tacky primer that will help the shadow because it is just too overly emollient, and it's such a beautiful shade. I really wish it was more in the texture of Balance, because Balance has, again, it has just a little bit of that slickness to it to really help it spread out, but it doesn't feel squishy, it doesn't feel sticky, it doesn't push down in the pan. Speaking of Balance, I think this is my favorite shade in here. It is so stunning. This one, you will be able to use this shade with any of the mattes in here because it has the pink and green sparkles throughout it, and it's very, very sheer. It is such a beautiful topper-like shadow, definitely a standout in here. Earth Mother and Enchant are a little bit more on the opaque side. They have a little bit more of a metallic shine. They have an ever so slightly larger particle size, but they completely smooth out. They apply really easily. They're really, really beautiful shades, and they do look like they were a little bit kind of like a tie-dye. They felt very, it kind of reminded me of like when you go in the woods and there's just some greenery as well as some like brown tones like mixing in together. So I thought that was a really nice touch in here. It definitely felt very green goddessy. Fertility is another one of my favorites in here. It is super, super glowy. It's really, really nice and smooth and super easy to use. I think you could sheer this one out a little bit. It does tend to pick up pretty heavy, which makes it look a little bit more opaque right off the bat. Renewal is a little bit more on the sheer side. I love these kinds of shadows. I cannot get enough of anything that is like this. And this one is a little bit different from the usual blue, brown, purple because the base of it is actually a little bit more grungy than just like a warm brown. I definitely want to compare this one to some other similar shades to really see the base difference. I would say Tafiti is the least shiny shade. It has some sparkle because of the different colorful flecks throughout it, but it doesn't have like the level of metallic as this one or the level of sparkle as those as well. These kinds of shades I predominantly see myself myself using for like an eyeshadow wing or on the outer corner layered over a darker matte. It's a very dimensional shade, so I'm really enjoying this palette. I love this for a spring release. I think it's really beautiful. It's really well thought out, and I absolutely love the cover on this one. It is a little bit different for Bella Beaute bar, as they tend to usually do the text kind of large over some sort of like a texture background, and I'm excited to see if they're going to be going in this kind of direction going forward. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this palette. Are you interested in it? Are you going to be putting it on your wish list? I would love to hear that. And if you enjoy this kind of content, detailed swatches of a beautiful sparkly shimmer shadows and eyeshadow tutorials, I will put up some of my other videos up on the screen. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.